All right, we are live with my good friend Tom Tezak in Maui. Tom, how you doing, man?
Woo-hoo! Hey, Matt, I am doing great. Thank you. Loving life. If I've got to be stuck somewhere, Maui's a pretty darn good place to be stuck.
Hey, in Wailea at that, I would say. So
Yep.
you got
It's
the Hawaiian shirt rocking with the beautiful Hawaiian picture. It's such a perfect
Yep.
backdrop. So
I'll show you that. That's what they call it, Canoe Beach up in North Key. Hey, I had that actually. A friend of mine painted it for me, so I was a picture that I took, and
wow.
years ago, I met this artist. Actually, I met this artist on the side of the road. He was selling his paintings out of the back of his truck. It's like, and the coolest part about this guy, he now lives on the East Coast, and he was a lost soul, just a great guy. Had a little baby trying to make some money to pay for it. He's now a dentist. He went back, got his world together, went to dental school, and so it's pretty darn cool.
Well, at least you got a painting out of him before he started working on people's teeth.
Exactly.
Well, hey, let me kick it off here. So, hey, everybody, Matt Farnham here with leader team Farnham, Crown Point Realty here in Las Vegas, Henderson, Nevada. This is a spinoff of our Real Life at Level 10 series where I discuss insights of real estate leadership and personal growth. In light of COVID-19, we just wanted to have some what we're calling Level 10 conversations with people in my world that I either admire or consider operating their business or whatever it is they're leading at a level 10. Tom Tezak's a good friend of mine in Hawaii. He's on the island of Maui. Definitely a level 10 leader. Tom, just a little bit about Tom is we met through coaching and actually not really coaching. We were Facebook friends, I think. And I put a post on about taking my wife to Maui for her birthday. And Tom, you gave me like 45 minutes on the phone. I took a page and a half of notes of everything to do in Maui. So that was my first interaction with you. Was an extremely generous individual with your time. So because of you, we had an amazing trip to Maui.
Glad I could help.
I've been on your show a couple times. Tom has a lot of content he puts out. He's got his own podcast called Selling the Dream. And he is a leader of a big group for resort and second home agents across the whole country. Has really just kind of simulated this massive, powerful group of second home resort market agents to collaborate and just grow together. And Tom is also you are one of the broker owners of your brokerage, Wailea Realty, Windermere company there in Maui, and leader of Lifestyle Maui Real Estate team there in Maui as well. So Tom, how you doing, man? Tell us a little bit more about your business.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate all the great words there. And my business is amazing. I've moved here from the Midwest about 20 years ago. Was a realtor there and moved here with a 3-month-old and a 6-year-old. And today is my 3-month-old's 20th birthday. So it's pretty exciting being able to raise my kids here. But Maui is a great place.
Anybody you wanted to say happy birthday to. So there you go.
There you go. Happy birthday, Zoe. So but being an agent, a realtor here has been such a pleasure. I've gotten to meet some of the most amazing people. So much of my business is for second homes and resort buyers, people from all over the world. One of my good friends and clients lives in downtown Vegas. So it's interesting, the people and the folks that I cross paths with. And it is so much fun to be an agent here and help people. I say, life is precious, make it count is one of my taglines. And from my history, long ago, I was a deputy coroner. So I really speak that from the heart, that we never know what's going to happen next. So we probably need to live our life as best we can.
Yeah, I love it. That's good insight. So you said the Midwest, that's Chicago, if I remember, right?
Actually, Joliet, Illinois, which is just southwest of Chicago.
Okay, so I have to ask you, because I am a Bulls fanatic and I grew up as an MJ fan. Just finished episodes 9 and 10 last night. My wife and I have been watching that series. So were you there in the 90s for that 8-year run?
I was. I saw several of the games with my dad back then, and we would go to the games, and it was so much fun. It's so exciting. And the stadium was so small. I mean, it was like a powerhouse in that place when you would go to a game to watch the Bulls.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I love that.
A lot of fun.
I'm sure that was fun watching the series for you too, from your perspective.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because everybody thinks of Maui as, there's not a better picture of paradise. So just to kind of kick us off, what's it like selling homes in paradise? And what's the general nature of your business? I know you're passionate about second homeowners and resort, markets. So is that what you see is really the primary part of your business? But what is it like selling homes in Paradise?
So, it's a little different, so a couple of things. One, I have a traditional market, meaning just like people buying and selling that live here. That's about 40% of my market, where it's my neighbors, it's my friends, it's the parents of the kids that go to school with my kids. That's a traditional market like everybody else has in the country. But then about 60% of my business is resort, second home, investment properties, because we have a lot of properties that you can rent out, you can buy, and then do short-term vacation rentals on. And we've been doing that for 20 years. The whole Airbnb phenomenon that's now crossing all over the country, we've been doing that for a long, long time. We called it just vacation rental condos. So that's an old model to us. It's new to a lot of places.
Right.
So I've done a lot of properties that you can rent out. And then we also do high-end luxury, waterfront, second homes where people say, I don't want anybody sleeping in my bed. And that's a whole different kind of mentality. People that can just simply afford to buy that second home, whether it's a $500,000 second home, a $300,000 second home, or a $30 million second home. It's just all about the place that they're looking at the property from.
Gotcha.
So, several of my clients that own the more expensive stuff own multiple properties. They'll own a property in Palm Desert. They'll own a property, like my client that I've said lives in Vegas. He owns a property in Vegas. He owns a property in Palm Desert. He owns a property on Coronado, and he owns a property in Maui. So and they just go from place to place.
Right. So I'm sure it's very interesting, the dynamic of people you get to meet. I'm sure that's keeps it fresh for you every day.
It does.
Question for you. You are big. One thing we have in common is our passion for client experience. We've had a lot of conversations about this. That's something my team out here in Vegas is very committed to, trying to provide the most extraordinary experience possible for our clients. And I know you do the same thing out there in Maui. So what are a couple of things that you're doing right now to really wow your customers?
So we try to, first of all, let me say that, Matt, you've been an inspiration for me on that. You've been sort of my leader for trying to do things more involved and engaging like that. But every year almost not every year, I make sure that I send my clients a Christmas present. As growing up, I grew up in a funeral home. We never advertised, but we would always, every Christmas, we would take out hundreds of gifts to our family businesses, clients, customers, and friends. So my life, I've always given Christmas presents. So for all of my clients, I try to send them every year a Christmas present. And it's something more elaborate because I just think that speaks to my heart and to theirs. We're also, every year, we try to do different client events. We've done whale watches. We do a hike up to the windmills. We just a lot of different. I had a Christmas party this year, a holiday party, where we had 2 live bands on a Grammy Award-winning band. Happens to be in Maui, and so they were able to come and play for our event for 100 people. It was sort of like, holy smokes, this is pretty cool. So just all, again, and then it's the follow-up. It's just continually keeping up with my current clients, my past clients, and always engaging them and bringing them into our world and being there to try to help them. So our client care and that experience we try to carry through all the time.
Well, for my clients watching this that have been to our pumpkin patch or bowling events or things that we've done, I don't think I can take you whale watching anytime soon, but we'll do our best to keep up with Tom for what we have to work with here in Vegas. So, Tom, COVID-19 has affected our industry, obviously, in a variety of different ways. Some markets, home prices are still going up, where inventory is really low. Some markets have slowed down much more than others. So what are you seeing right now in Hawaii overall, and specifically Maui? How has COVID-19 affected real estate activity there over the last couple of months?
So it's been really interesting. So we are an island, no surprise there. And our government has sort of shut down all inbound tourism. They didn't stop planes because they couldn't, but what they did do is require everyone that was inbound to do a 14-day quarantine. And they have been enforcing that. They've been arresting people. They've been doing things because they really wanted to maintain that. And our tourism industry went from about 30,000 people a day arriving into the islands to, I think yesterday there were 208 people who arrived as tourists. So
30,000 to 208?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's been huge, the impact that we have, and our business, I mean, my world and all of the agents in my company, we mostly rely on the tourism market for people coming in to buy. I had a bunch of clients that were coming in to buy real estate before COVID, and they just, obviously they couldn't get here and their plans changed. And we totally understand. So that being said, our market just sort of stopped. And I think what we're going to see is we've had some deals that were in escrow that some people renegotiated, some of them fell apart. So we're going to see a blip in our chart, our graph, where we're going to see this dive in pricing, I believe. But I think we're going to recover pretty quick, because the other thing that has been happening now is I'm getting so many calls from past clients, people that I've been on the phone with, that are saying, I'm going to be there, I'm coming. And now what's happening, sort of like my slogan is make life is precious, make it count. People are spending a lot of time home, spending a lot of time rethinking, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And what do I really want to be doing? And I think that there's a lot of people that are looking at that resort, that second home, whether it's Maui or Aspen or whatever it is. I think a lot of people are looking at that saying, I need to make this happen now, because there's things I can't control and there's things I can, and I want to enjoy my life a little bit more. So I believe that we're going to see a big influx in the third and fourth quarter of people finally pulling the trigger and saying, I want this, or whatever this is.
So you believe not just pent up demand of people that were already going to transact in a resort market like Maui or somewhere else, but you think that actually is growing behind the scenes of people saying, hey, I need to revisit my perspective on work-life balance and think about doing this.
Hey, Matt, you've been stuck for the 9 weeks now. Have you had a conversation with yourself and or your spouse saying, coming out of this, I want to do something different?
Absolutely. Yep. That's one of the things I want to discuss with you, and I'll just get right to it. I think that, right now, I think this season is really, I had a personal great friend of mine, mentor on the show. I don't know if you watched the conversation I had with Vance Pittman, but he talked about the idea that this season of life is really kind of like doing a hard reset. Like we would do on our cell phone. If it's not working right, we shut it off, do a hard reset, and we reboot. And that's really what this season is for a lot of us, to get a new, fresh perspective on how we want our life to look, or what do we allow back into the rhythm and routine of our days, or seasons or year, vacation property type thing. So I totally agree with you, and hadn't gone so far to think how that would affect a market like yours or even Vegas, for example. But I think you're right. There's going to be a lot of people making decisions.
And I would say a lot of my clients are CEOs, CFOs, upper level management, the kind of people that they haven't lost their jobs. They respect, and it's like, oh my gosh, this has been tough. But those clients haven't lost their jobs. They've been working. They've been figuring out. But what have they all been doing? What are we doing right now? We're on StreamYard. We're on Zoom. All of those upper level management and mid-level management consumers have been on Zoom, have learned how to do business from afar. And that's been one of our biggest challenges, is people not being on Maui, people not being in Vegas yet because they live somewhere else, not being in Aspen. But now that they've all learned how to communicate, do business, work on Zoom, embrace it, it's going to make our business from selling from afar so much easier. Now we've done this again. I got an email from my first client that I ever sold a property to without sight unseen 19 years ago. It was funny. I got the email yesterday, and she still follows me and still keeps in touch. But the point is that we've been doing this for a long time. It was always our second choice. It's now, I think, going to become our first choice, because I can get on my phone, I can Zoom with somebody, I can FaceTime, I can Marco Polo, any of those things, and take them through, and they're going to be so much more comfortable with that experience than they've ever been before. So I believe that for agents in remote markets, in second home markets, it's going to become a true mainstay of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I see it really assisting us in helping people make those decisions.
Totally. I think technology is going to make our jobs even more exciting than they already are. We've just in the last couple of months, our team here in Vegas has sold a couple homes sight unseen to buyers that are purchasing them off of just photos and videos and virtual walkthroughs and open houses. So we're experiencing that exact thing here too. Tom, in your resort and second home group that you lead, there's hundreds and hundreds of agents across the country in this group. What's the overall sentiment you're hearing from these agents in other markets that are highly resort and second home? And then also to kind of spin off of that, the Airbnb market specifically, probably, a lot of vacancies right now. Elaborate on what you're hearing from your group.
So I think a lot of us are experiencing the same thing. The resort second home markets have softened dramatically because most people are in their primary residence because it's where their families are, it's where their kids are, it's where their work is, it's where they got stuck. Now, some of our second home owners have come here to stay quarantine in place and such, but most of them are staying home. So our market has been really soft, but I'm hearing the same thing. There's more and more activity electronically, and they all are believing that we're going to see this boom in the folks that want to not just buy a second home, but even more the relocation aspect. Most of the resort communities are smaller, less dense. So the idea of being in a super thick metro area like LA or New York or something like that, and escaping to a place where they can telecommute, they can work, they can spend, instead of a month on vacation, they can spend 6 months or 8 months telecommuting and being here and living that lifestyle. For people who come to Maui to telecommute, it's early here. It's 3 hours from the West Coast and 6 hours from the East Coast. So people can come here and work. If they're early risers, they can get up and work, from 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. But by noon, their day is done and they have the whole day to go out and enjoy life and enjoy what Maui has to offer. And I think that's going to be the same experience if it's a ski resort or something like that too. So it's a whole new mental space that people are going to get educated on. The Airbnb part of it, pardon?
You're telling me really quick on this whole idea, because there's a book called Miracle Morning that I think you've read too, that starts your day at 5 a.m. I like the sound of being done at noon.
Well, I mean, it's so easy for that. There's a market of people that can do that. And, so that's the option. The other thing that's interesting is the Airbnb market. So Airbnb is a company that allows people to rent their properties out for vacation rentals. And there's a big market for that. Now, our Airbnb industry has stopped. I mean, the state of Hawaii government said no more vacation rentals in Airbnbs during this COVID because they just are trying to control inbound tourists. And that was another thing that they could do, short of stopping the flights. But once it opens back up, I think that there's been an article that was just written that said more people are going to migrate to Airbnbs across the country because they're smaller. There's less impact from the people. There's less, people at the swimming pools. There's less density. So that's going to be an appeal for people to travel to Airbnbs or VRBOs or vacation rental condos more so than it was before. And the hotels may have a little harder time dragging people in. But so the Airbnb market is an interesting spot. And I think that people who've owned a bunch of them right now may be sellers because they may be jammed up with their investment, which would just create opportunities for somebody else to step in.
I hadn't thought about that. You're right. It's almost like a major step backwards right now for Airbnbs that are sitting vacant. These are a lot of folks carrying mortgages on many of these properties, but it very well could be a major step back for two very big steps forward in the months to come. So that's a really interesting perspective on that. So right now, how have you had to specifically, as a leader of your team, a leader of your brokerage, and I think you guys have another 55 independent agents that you help lead on that end, now, and leading your clients, how have you had to pivot, Tom, out there in Hawaii, just in light of this? How are you still providing value to your clients in the midst of uncertainty? I'm sure they have a lot of questions, anxiety. How have you had to pivot as a leader?
So as a leader for my 55 agents in the company, what I've gone out and tried to get ahead of the curve is tried to be able to say, first of all, video. You need to be out on video. We started Zoom calls immediately because I was familiar with it. I brought the technology to the company. I had Zoom training classes for my agents. I said, sign up for this. A bunch of our agents Windermere was great. They've got accounts for all of the agents in Windermere got Premier Zoom accounts for free for the first couple months. I was then teaching them how to Zoom, and then being proactive in just telling them and following what's going on. As part of the coaching organization we're in, as you know, we've been getting a lot of information, and it's not just from the coach, but also from all of the people that we're involved with. The power of that organization, I find, is Tom Ferry, who's the coach, is great, but being able to draw off of the Matt Farnhams and the Glenda Bakers and the Tim Macy's is even bigger. That opportunity is huge. And so bringing that back every Monday morning, I have a meeting with my team or with my company. Every day I have a team call with my team because we're still quarantined at 8:30, just trying to stay in together and stay on the same page. And then for my clients, I'm just doing every week, I'm doing 3 to 4 Facebook posts just to go out and just say, hey, this is what's happening. These are the stores that are open. These are the restaurants that are open. Hey, we're doing a South Maui takeout bingo just for fun to get our local residents to support our local restaurants. And I decided early on that I was going to stop worrying about selling real estate and do what I could do to help our community. I'm also part of the Maui Food Bank. I'm a board member. So we really went all in on how can I be an assistant. My life and real estate career has been great. I've been blessed and fortunate, and I felt this was the time to give back, not to take. So.
I love that. And it's important right now that you and I control the narrative in our markets. There's a lot of media, there's a lot of stories and opinions and bad perspectives that are being pushed out into the market. So we need to make sure our folks really know what's happening, honest opinion and forecast, and then guide them to what they're comfortable with. Whether that is, my mom, by the way, just said, God bless him. I love that. My mom is a fan of yours already. She's on Facebook right now. So I love that, man. So kind of wrapping this up, Tom, how are you, we talked about that fresh perspective, you personally, as a leader, as a husband, father, just everything you're involved with. How is your perspective changing in these last 9 or 10 weeks? And maybe what are you learning about yourself right now?
Wow. I wasn't ready for that question, Matt. You didn't put that one on the list. It's been great. For me, I realized that my goal has been to be a great leader. But what I've seen happening is I call it being stuck in the quicksand. And about 3 days ago, I was stuck in the quicksand. It happens to every one of us. And I just was sitting here in my house and said, boy, I wish I need a pole. I need a pole to get myself out of here. And having that narrative for myself, knowing that I knew I was stuck and I knew I could get out and I could do it just by reframing my mind is probably the biggest, greatest power I've gained out of this, is just knowing I'm in control of what I can control. The things I can't control, I need to forget about. And so when I got stuck, the many times that I've gotten stuck in the last 8 weeks, I just sort of set back, reset, say, okay, let me get back in control. And the way I got back in control was by helping other people. And that was the thing that I found was the best thing that I could do. Because when I started helping other people, it helped me more than that. That helps me more than anything is by putting that out there. Putting that hand out to help somebody else gives me so much more glory, grace, ability to feel good about it and got me through it. So
energizes you. Well, that's encouraging. Anybody watching this, if you don't know Tom is one of the most positive folks you'll meet. Always, encouraging everybody, putting great content out, thought leader. So to hear you be transparent to say you got in the quicksand, obviously any of us are going to get in the quicksand, but having the resolve to do what you got to do to get out of it. And hey, nothing is better than expressing gratitude. To get your heart set right or your mindset right, or serving, of course, will energize anybody. So I love that, man. Thanks, Tom. And I'm going to wrap this up with some rapid fire with you. Favorite restaurant in Maui?
Favorite? It's got to be Mama's. We go there every year for Christmas. It's just amazing. Their food is amazing, but they're proud. And by that, I mean, they're proud. It's expensive, but it is a great, great restaurant.
Well, we went there based on your recommendation when we were there, and it was an amazing, not just great food, the experience was second to none. So
let me say that if you want to go to Mama's and you're coming to Maui, make your reservations before you get here. It's a month out.
And we did because of your input on that, and thankfully because of you, we were able to go. People assume because I live in Las Vegas that I go to the Strip all the time. So how often is Tom Tezak actually on the beach or driving the road to Hana?
Well, embarrassingly, I will say that I go to the beach very infrequently. I try my wife and I were going for a walk on the beach once a week, but that sort of went away. But today I'm going to the beach because it's my daughter's birthday. I said after this interview, I'm gonna go to the beach, but not as often as I should. Yeah. And then the road to Hana, we love to go to Hana, and we'll try to do that once a year.
Once a year? See, that would shock people. I go to the Strip a couple times a year for dinner or something, but that's one of the probably the most beautiful stretch of country I've ever seen in my life was that road. So you need to go at least an extra time a year for me, please.
Okay.
All right. So if you're going to Maui for the first time, everybody wants to get to Maui eventually. Why would you go to Wailea over Kanapali or Kapalua?
So I'm biased. I live in the South Side. So if I can say South Side, West Side, those are the two resort districts. South Side is Wailea, Kihei, Makena. West Side is Lahaina, Kanapali, Kapalua. It's all beautiful. And I say to people, if they're coming to Hawaii for the first time, it doesn't matter where you go. It's all absolutely gorgeous. But if you're going to buy real estate in Hawaii, I say that South Maui is the best. Again, biased. It's the best because it's the important things. Like in South Maui, you're 20 minutes to Costco. In West Maui, you're 45 to 50 minutes. You're close to the airport. You're close to all the things that become important when you're spending more time here. Right. And that's why I love South Side. The weather is perfect, 82 degrees every day of the year, plus or minus 6 degrees. We get maybe 8 to 10 days of rain. It is the most gorgeous climate in the world. Maui is blessed with 13 microclimates. So from where I live, I can look to my right and I can see one of the wettest places in the world, yet I'm standing in one of the driest places. I look to my left and I see the Haleakala, the top of the mountain, where every other year or so we'll have snow up there. So the environment is just spectacular. Oh. And South Maui puts me right in the middle of exactly where I want to be.
I want to go back, man. We loved it.
Come on back.
You just sold me again. All right, last question. I'm always big on development, and my mentor says when leaders stop growing, they forfeit the right to lead. So, 2 books you've read recently, Tom, that you would recommend to anybody listening.
There's one that I'm a business guy. Almost everything I read are business books. But the one you mentioned, which I think has changed my life dramatically, and that's The Miracle Morning. Absolutely, I recommend that to anybody. If you're waking up and you think, oh, I suck, or oh, I'm out of shape, or I can't do this, go get that book. It changed my world dramatically. It was something that I did on my own, in my own head, and it changed my life. I lost 40 pounds. I've gained a little bit of that back, but I'm in such better shape. I've got such a better attitude about everything. So The Miracle Morning would be one of the number one books that I would put on anybody's list. And if you're in the customer service industry, this is a book I read a long time ago, so maybe it doesn't count for just recently, but it's a book called Hug Your Customers. And it's probably one of my favorite books I've ever read. It's one of the only books that I read and thought, I want to send the author a gift because it impacted me so much. Wow. How good it was. And it's just so simple. And he was in the men's clothing business. But what a great book. Just if you're in customer service, it just really speaks to how to take care of people.
Wow. Gavin, we'll have to find that and post it in the comments. I've actually never heard of that book, so I'm super glad I asked you the question. Hug your clients.
Yep. So it might be hug your customers, actually.
Hug your customers. Awesome. So how do folks, what's the best way to get in touch with you, Tom? If they want to follow you, I know you have Selling the Dream podcast. So, that's more specific for realtors, but you could learn a lot about resort and second home markets by listening to that podcast, even if you're not a realtor. Your real estate team, you have a YouTube page, you put a ton of content out. What would be the best couple ways for people to kind of engage with you and follow you?
So first thing, go to Google, type in Tom Tezak Realtor, and I'll fill the front page. If you like Google or YouTube, I do a series on YouTube. We have a channel for restaurants. We do Taste of Paradise, which is really fun. If you're coming to Maui, go search that and you'll see a bunch of different restaurants that we've featured. We also do a series on frequently asked questions, so you can find out about buying real estate in Maui and those kinds of things. If you're on Facebook, just search Tom Tezak Maui and you'll find my page there, Lifestyle Maui Real Estate. Follow that. We post a ton of content on Lifestyle Maui Real Estate. Instagram is _Lifestyle Maui. I find that as I mature gracefully, I've migrated to Facebook predominantly. We do some posting on Instagram, but mostly we're on Facebook and YouTube. That's where that gives us the best place for content. I'm also on LinkedIn. We do a little bit on there. And then as far as our podcast, it's a fun podcast in the sake that I am talking to realtors. But every Tuesday I do an inspirational or a quick tip. And I find that some of that stuff can be pretty powerful for people. The folks who work with me always will say, wow, that was really powerful and good stuff. It's like, really? Thanks. So,
and that's,
but yeah, I'm all over there. Pardon?
You share that in the Selling the Dream podcast as well?
That's the Selling the Dream podcast. The Tuesday show is a 3 to 6 minute sort of, just, you never know what's going to be on that. And that's usually just me, just given, like I talked about, being an anchor and the good and the bad, or you want to be the lighthouse or the wave, and lots of different things that are just fun. I just try to be helpful. Again, it's sort of put myself out there. Sometimes my wife will say, "Oh, I can't believe you did that," or "I can't believe you said that." It's like, you know what? I'm trying to be as transparent as I can. I'm as real as it can be, and I'm sometimes a bumbling idiot, but that's just the way it is.
Hey, people relate to real. They don't want, perfection's poison. We've talked about that.
Yep.
I loved your lighthouse and wave. I listened to that one. I remember if I saw it on Facebook or listened to it somewhere, but I love that. And then Tom at tomtezak.com, right? That's your direct email. If anybody wants to, when they're sitting at home thinking about buying a resort property in Maui, Tom is your guy.
And you can always call me. If somebody's out there that says, "Hey, I've got a question, or I've got anything," just feel free to give me a call. If you want information about Maui real estate, just let me know that your Matt is your guy, and I will be happy to help you out. 808-280-2055. Call me, text me. Just remember, we're a few hours behind, so if you call me at 8 o'clock in the morning, I might be a little bit grumpy if I answer the phone.
I think I did that to you once or twice.
So, it happens.
Well, Tom, man, thank you so much for being on here with me. I admire you, man. I respect you and appreciate you as a friend. So thanks for letting me share you with my world out here in Vegas. And we'll catch up with you again soon, man.
Matt, I appreciate it. And the feelings are all mutual. You are one of my favorite people in the world.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
All right, well, let me wrap us up here. So everybody, thanks for watching Tom in Maui for a few minutes with us. Great thought leader, great leader out there in Maui. Obviously, we're all navigating COVID-19 differently, and in a market like his, it's very directly affecting things. But as he said, it's probably just a lot of pent-up demand, and maybe even a growing demand as people kind of reevaluate, their rhythm and balance of life. So anyways, Level 10 Conversations here. This is a spinoff of Real Life at Level 10. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch the Real Life at Level 10 original series and the content where we talk about insights of real estate leadership and personal growth. It's also on iTunes or Google Play Store if you want to listen to the podcast. So like this, ask questions, share. Would love your feedback. And we'll see you guys all soon. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.